Hi, my name is Yoshio Partida and you have just watched me and Roger Duran perform the first 10 trumpet duets of 12 trumpet duets by Heinrich Ignaz Franz Biber. And now I will be talking about the composer and the work itself. Heinrich Ignaz Franz von Biber, or typically known as Heinrich Biber or H.I.F. Biber, was baptized on August 12, 1644 in Wattenberg, Bohemia in the Austrian Habsburg domain. He would later die on May 3, 1704 in Salzburg, Austria. And now a little bit about his life. He earned his first position in 1668 as a valet and musician to the Bishop of Olomouc, a city is what is now the Czech Republic, in the Moravian town of Kroměříž. In 1670, he illegally entered service to the Archbishop of Salzburg. It was illegal because he was still employed by the Bishop of Olomouc. Biber would spend the rest of his life in Salzburg, and he would rise through the ranks of the Salzburg court. By 1670, he was a valet. In 1679, he became deputy Kapellmeister. By 1684 he was the Kapellmeister, and in 1690 he was ennobled by Emperor Leopold I, and he was given the title Biber von Bibern, and then, in 1692 he was appointed Lord High Steward and received his coat of arms. This would be the highest social rank he would achieve in his life. Before Biber gained recognition as a composer, he was primarily known as a violinist, and he had a high reputation as a violin virtuoso. Not only that, but he also helped advance many techniques for the modern violin, such as reaching the 6th and 7th position and the use of multiple stops. He would also explore scoratura tuning, known also as alternate tunings for the violin. The image here showcases one of the scoratura tunings asked for in Biber's Rosary sonatas, specifically Sonata number 11, in which Biber asked the performer to cross the two middle strings of the violin for the alternate tuning requested. As a composer, he was known for writing operas, sacred music, and chamber music. Like many other composers, he would primarily write for his primary instrument, the violin. He is also known to have written some of the earliest known pieces for solo violin. One of Biber's most notable works are the Rosary sonatas I mentioned earlier, also known as the Mystery sonatas or copper engraving sonatas. Unfortunately, they went unpublished during his life. The Rosary sonatas are a collection of 15 short violin and continuo sonatas, with a long passacaglia for solo violin at the end. The Rosary sonatas, as the name suggests, cover the mysteries of the Rosary, which cover the life and death of Jesus from the Annunciation to the Ascension and beyond. Sonata 15 is especially notable because one of its themes likely inspired Paganini's Caprice No. 24, as the themes match almost exactly. The Rosary sonatas are also Biber's first use of scoratura, which is abnormal tuning for special effects on the violin, in sonatas 2 through 14. And the image here showcases the tunings that Biber would request for each of the sonatas, once again making note of number 11, in which the strings are specifically asked to cross in order to achieve the required tuning. And now about the 12 trumpet duets. They were written in 1676, attached to a collection of 12 sonatas titled Sonatae tam aris quam aulis servientes, which were for 5 to 8 instruments, trumpets, strings, and continuo in various combinations. C 126 through 137 were the 12 fanfares for 2 trumpets. So in the 12 trumpet duets, the first 10 are in C major while the final 2 are in G minor. They were originally written for clarino trumpet. However, it is not necessarily known if it is a type of trumpet or more of a style. It is still up for debate. Some say that it's a lighter trumpet, known as a clarion, akin to the modern day piccolo trumpet. Others would argue that it dictates playing the upper register of the natural trumpet from the eighth partial and up, which would be C5. Others say that it could also be a combination of the two. Now, before going on, I would like to talk a little bit about the natural trumpet. It is a valveless brass instrument wrapped in a single coil, similar to the modern bugle but much longer. It is about 2 times the length of a modern trumpet, which places it sounding an octave lower than the modern trumpet. It is also only able to play notes of a single overtone series, considering it does not have any valves. Because it is not a chromatic instrument, the natural trumpet could only play in a single key. In order to change keys, one would have to use interchangeable crooks of varying lengths. Originally, the natural trumpet was only used as a signaling instrument for military and religious purposes. Players at the time were divided into either field or court positions, with the field positions covering more of the low register of the instrument and the court musicians starting to push into the higher register. These court musicians were the ones to start moving the trumpet away from a signaling instrument to more of an instrument of musical expression. They were able to do this because they specialized in playing in the upper register, which was very difficult to do, but it allowed for all the chromatic pitches to be available to the player based on their skill level, because the partials were much closer together in that register. This was done by lipping the notes flat or sharp via the embouchure, which was very difficult as it required very precise control of the embouchure. Here, the images showcase the harmonics of the modern day trumpet on the left and the natural trumpet on the right. As you can see, on the right, the natural trumpet, the higher harmonics are much closer, which allowed for a much easier upper register, especially compared to the modern day trumpet. The image on the right also shows the commonly used range of the natural trumpet, which would be from the 3rd to the 16th harmonic, covering from G3 all the way to C6. In practice, the lower harmonics were never used, and intervals above the 16th harmonic were only occasionally called for. The notes that are filled in on the image are inherently flat and must be lipped up, with the exception of the 11th harmonic, which is lipped down to produce an F, and up to produce an F sharp. The image also suggests that the natural trumpet was quite bland because it is missing chromatic notes. However, these chromatic notes that are not in the natural series were able to be produced by skilled players by lipping the upper adjacent harmonic down a semitone. For example, a skilled player could lip down the 8th harmonic, the C5, down to a B4. This is known as a Runtertreiben, literally translated as driving down, and it was only used by the most talented of players because it required very precise control in order for the harmonic not to slip down into the lower adjacent harmonic, since that is where the instrument naturally wants to go to. Now to talk a little bit more about the clarino trumpet, which is showcased in the 12 duets. It was a very specialized position, even more because being a trumpet player was already a coveted position. Only princes and politically favored could even hope to receive training, and the art was furiously protected. Years of training as an apprentice were needed until the player would eventually undergo a rigorous exam in order to call themselves trumpeters. If they were accepted into a court, then they would be called court trumpeters. If they had been to battle, then they could be called field or military trumpeters. Clarino trumpet players were fitted with a special clarino mouthpiece, which was a narrow-bore, cup-shaped mouthpiece with a sharp-angled rim, and this is similar to the modern-day lead trumpet players' mouthpieces because they ask for the exact same aspects to be included in their own mouthpieces for lead trumpet playing. And now in this slide, you could see an image of the mouthpiece anatomy. At the top, you can see the rim, which is where the clarino trumpet players asked for a sharp angle. The throat and back bore make up the narrow bore that they also asked for. On the right is a comparison of a modern lead trumpet player's mouthpiece in red versus the typical trumpet mouthpieces that you'd normally see on a classical trumpet player's mouthpiece. And you can see just how different the mouthpieces are because they are specialized positions, therefore they need specialized equipment in order to do their job efficiently. And now on this slide is a comparison of different mouthpieces for brass instruments. A is a mouthpiece for Baroque trumpet, and it gives you a hard and cracking sound. Not only that, you could tell this is the longest of the bunch, also having the smallest cup and the most narrow opening of the throat. B is a mouthpiece for a modern trumpet. It gives a rounder and fuller sound, it has a much softer and not as sharp or wide rim at the top. C is a mouthpiece for a cornet à piston, which gives a softer sound. It also has the shortest length. Also, the cup is a lot more funnel shaped and not as bowl shaped, especially compared to the Baroque and modern mouthpiece. D is a mouthpiece for a French horn, which gives a very soft and dark sound, and is the most funnel shaped, and is only a little bit longer than a cornet à piston mouthpiece. Back to the 12 trumpet duets. It begins strong and majestic with the first 2 duets. It is a very clear fanfare style and is primarily a fast tempo, although there are occasional slow movements or moments in the fast movements. The full range of the natural trumpet is explored, from the 4th to the 16th partial, and this piece is clearly meant for the most skilled natural trumpet players because they required very precise embouchure control not only to reach the range that is asked, but also to hit all the notes that are also dictated. This skill was required because Biber did not shy away from hard-to-tune harmonics. He had many uses of the Runtertreiben, and he used the 7th, 11th, 13th, and 14th harmonics quite often. However, they are primarily used as passing tones, but this does not take away from the skill that was required to accurately hit these notes. This is especially apparent in the 9th duo, as Biber leans heavily on the 7th harmonic and is the longest held inherently flat note, and you would think it stands out, but it fits quite nicely within the duo. Now for performing the piece, historically no performance notes were written. My copy had only dynamics sparsely distributed, and normally it would be up to the discretion of the performers to add any embellishments or any dynamics. Therefore, no two performances are quite alike back then. In my performances, with Roger and by myself, we only followed the dynamics that were written. We didn't add any embellishments due to the difficulty of recording separately. Normally, if we were together, we would be able to communicate with each other and improvise on the fly and follow each other's leads in order to vary the performance and add embellishments as we would like. However, regardless of that, I still enjoyed playing and recording this piece, and I also enjoyed talking about Biber and this piece in this presentation, and I would like to thank you for listening.